All right, everybody, we are in for a treat. Today we're going to be graphing transformations. Now, you might remember from second semester when we graphed sine and cosine that we have 4 basic transformations, 6 if we include reflections. And as we're graphing, we can just go in order from left to right. And so we can go A, then B, then C, then D. Now, our 2 transformations that are outside of the parentheses, so these 2, these are both going to affect our y coordinates because they are vertical. Anything on the outside is going to affect y. Anything on the inside is horizontal, so these 2 are both going to affect x here. Now, what you may not remember are the names of these, and so anytime we're multiplying is going to be a dilation, whether it makes it bigger or smaller. Okay, and so this is a vertical dilation, a horizontal dilation. When we're adding or subtracting, it's going to be a translation. So this is a horizontal translation. This is a vertical translation. Now, as we're graphing, the value in the front is going to multiply our y coordinates by whatever that number is right there. This is going to multiply our x coordinates, but by the reciprocal of whatever is right here. This is going to move it left or right. If it's a plus, it actually moves it left. Inside is opposite. And then a minus moves it right. And then out here, we've got a plus moves the graph up. A minus moves the graph down. All right, so let's look at an example with the graph here. And so we're given a graph of a semicircle, and then it turns into a linear function just for this part right here. And so we've got, depending on how you look at this, either 4 transformations or 6. I'm going to make this 4 transformations. Here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to start with A here, and I'm going to multiply the y coordinates by -2. And so instead of reflecting this over the x-axis and then doubling the y coordinates, I can do that all in one step if I just multiply the y coordinates by -2. And so I'm going to start with this point. Again, I'm just going to affect the y coordinates, just going to multiply that, not the x coordinate here. And so the y coordinate is 1, so I'm going to multiply that by -2, and it puts us at -2 right there. For this point is at +2. If I multiply that by -2, I'm at -4. But again, the x coordinate isn't changing. The x coordinate was -1. It's still -1 right there. Y coordinate of 1 is now -2. Okay, ooh, don't do that. Okay, y coordinate of -2. And then here we got a y coordinate of 0. That's not going to change. It starts right here, and it looks like this. Okay, so we still have sort of a semicircle, but it's a little stretched vertically, and then we have our linear portion right here. All right, up next, let's see, I'll switch to that color. I'm going to multiply the x's by the reciprocal. Multiply the x's by the reciprocal. So the negative is going to stay. The reciprocal of 1/3 is going to be 3/1, or 3. And again, if I multiply by -3, that's going to take care of reflecting it over the y-axis and multiplying the x coordinates by 3 as well. And so this point, which was right here at the x coordinate was -2. Okay, now the x coordinate is going to be +6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right here. So the y coordinate didn't move up or down, it just moved left or right. Let's see, now we're going to multiply this x coordinate of -1 by -3 to get +3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, multiply 0, and it doesn't move. Multiply +1, now it's at -3. All right, and so again, this is a reflection over the y-axis, and we're going to stretch this vertically, or dilate it horizontally rather. And I switched back to white. All right, so I'm going to, again, this is the linear part, and then this was our original semicircle. All right. Now all we have to do is bother me that this turned out like that, so it should be, again, the same color. Now all we have to do is move everything. Let's see, I'll use green here. Move everything. I'm going to do this all at once here. left 1 space, that's going to affect our x coordinates, move it left, and then up 2. That'll affect our y coordinates here. These are both translations, these are both dilations. Okay, left 1, up 2. I'm just going to do each point. So I'll move this point, left 1, up 2, left 1, up 2, and that segment is like that. And then left 1 and up 2, and nope, don't do that. And then left 1 and up 2. And again, here's our, what was originally a semicircle. Okay, so that in green right there, that's our final graph. You may not have that many transformations, but I wanted to go over all of them just to go through the process here. All right, and then lastly, we're going to work with kind of the same thing, but just domain and range. If you want to, you could view this as a coordinate point and this as a coordinate point and kind of go through all the transformations. But instead of actually plotting these, I'm just going to think about each transformation and how it's going to affect the x's, right? Domain being x and range being y. And so I'm going to start with the range. Anything on the outside is going to affect our y coordinates. Those are vertical components of the transformations here. And so this is going to multiply the y's. This is going to add 1 to the y's. But we always want to multiply before we add. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both of these by -2. So let's see. If we multiply both of those by -2, we get positive 8. And we get positive 2. Okay, so ignoring that plus 1, this would be the bottom, this would be the top. Our range always goes bottom to top. So temporarily the range is 2, 8. Right, again, I'm multiplying both of these by the or by the number on the outside. Both the y coordinates by the number on the outside. But this is now the min, this is now the max. And then we're going to just add 1 to both. So now our range is going to be 3, 9. And so that's our answer for the range of G. The domain of G, we're just going to take the inside portion. I'm just going to switch colors again. Take the inside portion here. So we've got a 3, but I'm not going to, that doesn't mean I triple these. It means I actually divide them by 3 or multiply them by 1/3. And then we'll move it right 1. Okay, so multiply by 1/3, move right 1. And so let's take our original range, domain, -3, 0. I'm going to multiply both of those by 1/3. That gives me -1, so this becomes -1. And then if I do 0 times anything, I'm going to get 0. And so temporarily, our domain is going to be -1 to 0. But we have to move it right 1. I know it's a -1. We're not going to subtract anything. We're going to move it right, which would actually add 1 to both of these. And so now, if I add 1 to both, it's going to be 0, 1, and that would be our domain right there. All right, so you guys should be able to do the practice now for the graphing. We're going to revisit all of this, but with equations and with tables in our next video. All right, but you guys can go ahead and do the practice for the content that relates to this video. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Stay flawless.